Okay, so setup-wise, certainly in both these cases better. I mean, the ball, you could argue, is a little bit further forward there, but it's not beyond where it could be, okay? So that's absolutely fine. This one's back a little bit. On a tendency, you'd have the golf ball get back here sometimes. Just watch that. That's going to put a lot of shaft lead into the golf club, or you move your hands back to your right leg, both of which we don't really want to do. So make sure the ball's not too far back. This left-hand one we'll see is actually a reasonable strike, but as we come into it, the golf ball, okay, so your left arm on the club now is still kind of in a straight line. As you come back to the golf ball now, there's your left arm, the club's gone past. So your impact now, your hands are probably nearer your right thigh. And again, even though it's a reasonable strike and shot there, okay, you can see the angle being created here. Now, that's a good lie, good golfer, good shot. Bad lie, probably a poor shot. Bad lie, bad golfer, terrible shot. So you become a better golfer recently, hence why this technique now is a good lie. You can hit some reasonable shots. But then you're on the golf course and the lie's terrible and you duff it or thin it, okay? Obviously, you got really, really good as you will start developing, I'm sure. You might get away with that a little bit, but we won't be playing golf getting away with things, okay? So the feel, as we said, a little bit of hinge in that right wrist as we go back, okay? So the lead arm and the club are kind of in line here now. You can see now there's kind of your lead arm. So the club's going back now with a little bit of hinge. If I clear all these lines off here now, as we come back to the golf ball, there's your contact, yeah? So you've maintained that angle into the goal. Again, obviously a very good strike. And then when you swing through now, the body and everything turn through together rather than this kind of scoopy one there. You sort of see it's trying to sort of scoop it. Again, the left-hand one wasn't a bad shot. It wasn't like, oh gosh, thinned across the green. But previously you would have thinned it probably because your awareness of where the ground is and where the ball is isn't as good as it is now. But the lie's good. And that's what we've got to try to be careful. If you just practice in a perfect lie, when you do slightly imperfect shots, you might get some good results and go, I'm doing really well here. Then you try and translate that to the golf course where nothing's perfect. That's when it falls down. So try and when you're doing some of these chips, just chip off some sort of different lies here around the green, okay? Don't always tee the ball up on a nice lie. So you do really sort of challenge your technique to see whether or not you can get the club back to the golf ball now with that. So impact now to the hands more towards your left thigh and the club now and the arm a little bit more in line. Through the ball here now, could we move the body a little bit more? Potentially, yeah. But at the moment now it's moving more than it was, which for me is enough. And then with a bit of practice, it will start becoming more and more used to doing that, okay? But as we said, this is still something you've got to think about. When you played a chip shot after this one, I think it was, and you were talking about putting it down, and then you thinned it across the green because your brain was in that kind of like, oh, I'm thinking about this, and you, what have I got to do? So your autopilot is still this with that right wrist, okay? So as a swing thought, hinge the wrist on the way back, a little bit of hinge and body turn, and hold that angle as you come back to the golf ball. Start hitting the ball much more crisper. And as a rule of thumb then, and I'll write this on here if I can, my best right, here we go. So a 7-iron was 20% in the air, 80% roll, yeah. And then a pitching wedge, roughly 50-50, yeah. Sand wedge, maybe 60-40, yeah. So when you're on the golf course, if it's standard flat lie, image where that towel was, we land a 7-iron at 20% distance. So we had that 35-yard chip across the green. You landed it about 7 yards, and lo and behold, it went about 35 yards. The flag was at 28, 29, 30, and you went just past the flag. So 7-iron, that 20, 80% for you. Pitching wedge, roughly 50-50. So at least you've got an understanding now, okay, where's my landing spot? And by bringing your landing spot towards you, or your target towards you, should I say, it's a lot easier to hit, yeah? If you miss your target 20 yards away, you miss it by quite a bit. You're not going to miss a target that's 5 yards away or 4 yards away if it's 20%, yeah? Okie dokie? Yep. Makes sense? Yep. Happy with that then?